Welcome to Orchid's overview video. Today we'll be running through a bit about Orchid, our products, our channels, our partner resources, getting help, and getting started. Firstly, a bit about Orchid. At this stage we have over 5,000 Sage 300 sites around the world running our modules, and they exist currently in over 60 countries with an average of 2 Orchid modules per site. We have over 400 Sage business partners servicing these sites, and we're based in Sydney, Australia. We have received over 10 industry awards over the years for our efforts, and this has culminated in 14 integrated modules developed within the Sage 300 SDK, which gives them all the same look and feel as any other Sage 300 module. And we've been working with Sage 300 for over 25 years. A bit more about us and some stats. Our records show that we currently are addressing 88% of the incoming support cases within 24 hours. And over the last 14 years, we've achieved on average 28% year-on-year growth. And we're all about improving efficiency and productivity. Our modules fit into 5 different categories. Under Collaboration and Intelligence, we have Notes, Document Management Link, Email Smartlink, and Info Explorer, our entry-level, simple-to-use business intelligence tool. Under Automation and Productivity, we have Process Scheduler and Report Runner. Under Tailoring and Integration, we have Extender, Data Views, and Optional Tables. Extender is our latest module and allows you to extend and customize Sage 300 to your requirements. Under Streamlining Financial Processes, we have EFT Processing, our most popular module, Inter-Entity Trade and Inter-Entity Transactions. And under Operations and Inventory Management, we have our first module, the one we initially developed back in time, called Return Material Authorizations, or RMA, Freight Smartlink, and Bin Tracking. What I'm going to do now is introduce each one of these modules through initially going through key qualifying questions, then talking about some of the key functionality, followed by some screenshots to give you a feel for how the product would be used on a day-to-day basis. First of all, Document Management Link. Do your employees need to file, locate, and refer to various documents when processing transactions in Sage 300 or answering customer queries? Are your aspirations to support staff mobility, remote networking, or multiple office locations being held back by a reliance on physical documents? And does the prospect of a paperless office with seamless integration between Sage 300 and your document management or file sharing systems sound appealing? Document Management Link provides a context-sensitive link to documents supporting any Sage 300 screen, is cost-effective, simple to set up and use with powerful configuration options, links documents to multiple screens and companies, gives you drag and drop functionality to link and store documents and emails from Outlook, reduces costs and reduces paper storage, and works with many file and document management systems. Document Management Link shows documents in the window on the right-hand side of this, for example, accounts payable invoice entry screen, and also shows, if you look at the top right-hand corner of the screen, as a post-it note with lines in it indicating that there are documents associated with this particular vendor and document. So in this case, we're looking at vendor number 1200, Chloride Systems, and document number INV123. And on the right-hand side, what we can see in the top box is that particular invoice, invoice 123, in different formats, and I can double click on either of those two documents to have a look at them. And the next box down is showing me all invoices associated with this vendor. The next box is showing me all vendor contracts associated with vendor 1200. And the last one is showing project documents, which are documents associated once again with this vendor, but associated with projects specifically. And these types of documents are all configurable according to your requirements. Moving on to notes. Do your staff regularly refer to information outside Sage 300, such as post-it notes and other documentation to help them with their tasks? Are your efforts to increase collaboration being stifled by having key information held in ways that don't facilitate the sharing of knowledge? And would you like to have relevant and contextual alerts, procedural instructions, or other information presented where and when it's needed, flexible enough to include images and hyperlinks, and all stored and managed within Sage 300? What Notes lets you do is provides context-sensitive notes throughout the system for all Sage 300 screens, core module screens that is, and third-party screens developed using the Sage 300 SDK, ensuring that information is delivered to the right users at the right time, delivers flexibility and ease of use, and can be extended to include conditional notes and alerts with Orchid's extender, which I'll be running through shortly. So here is an example. This time we're using the order entry screen. We're looking at customer number 1200 and item number A11030, a fluorescent desk lamp. And on the right hand side, we're now looking at notes as opposed to documents. And the top box is associated with customer number 1200, Mr. Ronald Black. It relates to his credit limit. The next box down relates to customer 1200 and item A11030, fluorescent desk lamp, and includes a hyperlink. The next one down shows the item, information relating to the item, and in this case we've included an image. Now if I was to then scroll down the grid over here onto the next item, those second two notes would change because we're now looking at different information. And this is showing you the context-sensitive nature of these notes. Next up, Info Explorer. Do you have to make do with static two-dimensional extracts and reports when analyzing business data and spreadsheets when producing budgets and forecasts? Are you frustrated by having to wait for up-to-date data to answer urgent questions, or by using reports that don't give you the right detail to make fully informed decisions? Do you love the idea of a powerful business intelligence tool with real-time slice and dice capability plus integrated budgeting and forecasting, but assume that this would be out of the reach of your business? Info Explorer improves decision-making with access to timely and relevant information, saves time and improves budgeting and forecasting processes, replaces many crystal reports with a single data cube, allows you to analyze and drill into your data and Sage 300 screens in real time. It updates Sage 300 with your new budgets and forecasts with the Write Back edition, and allows you to try before you buy with the free light edition of Info Explorer. So here's an example of Info Explorer. What we're doing is analyzing the data by customer, salesperson, and item number. And what we can do is drag in additional dimensions should we need to see them. And we can summarize this information and also drill down into underlying screens within Sage 300 and also more and more detail within Info Explorer itself. We can also produce graphs and dashboards as shown at the top, and we've got the ability to read data out of Sage 300 and write it back into Sage 300 where appropriate. And examples would be general ledger budgets and item forecasts. Process Scheduler. Do you rely on operations staff to manually kick off recurring processes and to ensure they complete without incident? Is your business being exposed to human error, performance degradation, resource conflicts, and staff downtime due to critical processes being manually executed during working hours? Would you appreciate the peace of mind and convenience of having key processes run automatically scheduled and the efficiency of having them run unattended during off-peak hours while still being notified if something goes wrong? Well, Process Scheduler automates important repetitive tasks within one or across companies, saves time and runs key processes unattended, enables the effective utilization of people and resources, and delivers different levels of functionality so you only get what you need. Here we're looking at how to set up a schedule with these processes. You choose the company you want to work with, you choose the action or process you want to have run. You can elect to send emails if there are problems, or indeed if there is successes as well. There will be detailed audit logging so you can see after the event what happened, what did work, what didn't work, and you can choose the types of processes you want to work with in terms of the level of process scheduler that you elect to go with. Report Runner. Do you or your staff regularly spend time setting up, running, and distributing recurring Crystal or Sage 300 financial reports? Is time being wasted, or are poor decisions being made by staff who struggle to access the reports they need when they need them? And would you like to improve both efficiency and data security by ensuring staff can easily launch and access reports that are relevant to their role without being distracted by or having unauthorized access to those that aren't? Report Runner automatically runs and distributes suites of Crystal and financial reports, reduces complexity when running the reports, tailors views for different users, enhancing productivity and security, and improves decision-making through providing users with easier access to key reports. So here on the left-hand side, we're looking at the financial report runner, where you can choose a group of reports to run at the same time, interactively through the menu, or you can schedule one or a group of reports. In the middle, we're showing how you can schedule those reports. And on the right-hand side, we're looking at the Crystal component of Report Runner, where we've got a menu of Crystal reports. And in the bottom right-hand corner, an example of a screen which has been configured to run vendor information, in this case vendor aging, and it's pre-populating certain information so the end user only gets to see what they need to see, and you're getting all Sage 300 standard finders, date pickers, and the like. We now move on to Extender. Do you have business or integration requirements that can't be met out of the box by Sage 300? Are you shocked by the high costs associated with software development or upgrades, or worried about adding complexity and risk by introducing solutions that sit outside your ERP system? Did you know that there's now a cost-effective way to introduce bespoke business logic with simple validations and alerts through to custom screens and tables, or integration with external applications, all held within your Sage 300 database? Well, Extender allows for this level of customization. And if you have a look at the diagram on the right-hand side, the green circles relate to standard Sage 300 ERP. In the center, we have the database, which is Microsoft SQL Server. Around that, we have the views, which contain the business logic. And the next level, we have the ways to access that business logic, either through the classic desktop screens, the new web screens, through web services and import-export, or through macros and the standard Sage 300 SDK and APIs. Now, what Extender does is it wraps around the views, allowing you to customize the way those views work, the way the business logic works, and also lets you create your own new views. And that we term the view extender component. The screen extender component relates at this stage to the classic desktop screens and allows you to customize those desktop screens in different ways, but in such a way that there's no longer the need to recompile OCXs with customizations every time you go through either a product update or an upgrade. We have different versions of Extender, and they run through from the runtime version through to the developer version, so you would be choosing the version which best suits your requirements. Extender uses the scripting language called Python, and the reason we've chosen Python and use it is because it is one of the fastest growing and popular languages out there. So Python recently featured in Stack Overflow's annual survey, which had over 90,000 respondents, and it came out through as being the fastest growing major programming language, the top tool for application development, and the language that most developers wanted to learn. It's taught very extensively in schools and universities and has extensive online resources to get you up to speed. It's open source, and there are thousands of free libraries available, allowing you to build all sorts of additional capability within Sage 300. And lastly, focuses on readability. So the code can easily be read due to its English-like nature. And all of this code is held within the database. So as long as you're backing your database up, you know that your customizations are being safely backed up as well. So running through some examples of what the type of thing that Extender can do for you, here we're looking at credit limit and ensuring that it can't exceed $20,000. So in this instance, what we're doing is we're applying this additional validation through a script, and that is because it's being done at the view level, it is being handled no matter how you decide to access and update that data. It could be through the web screens, could be through the classic desktop screens, could be through an import, or through accessing the data via the Sage 300 API. In all cases, the custom business logic and validation that you're putting in through into the system will ensure that everything does stay in sync for you. We're then also keeping a track of exactly what is happening to this data in the form of creating notes and also logging the data. So you can choose what data you specifically want to log. It could be for integration purposes or could be for audit and security purposes. And you can then alert people of that either via email, through creation of notes, going back to our notes module, which we've had a look at already. Another example here of customizing screens, the classic desktop screens. Here we're adding buttons, adding fields, adding tabs, changing finders, and hiding fields. And here we're adding optional fields to the detailed data entry grid, in this case, in accounts payable invoice entry. Usually it's quite difficult to add optional field information when you're doing a lot of data entry. And with this capability, you can now easily include these optional fields in the grid itself. Here what we're doing is creating a brand new view, which will work just like any other Sage 300 view, either created by Sage or third-party developer working within the Sage 300 SDK. Here we're creating a view with an underlying table to record Net Promoter Scores. Creating the underlying table as a proper view ensures that it will be included in the data dictionary to facilitate report creation using crystal reports, and will also ensure that your data will dump and load for you. Here we're looking at a combination of Extender and Orchid's Notes module to create Extender notes. And on the bottom left-hand side, we're looking at the order entry screen, and the associated notes window on the right-hand side is showing us information pertaining to this customer and the total sales made to this customer, and that's being generated and presented in real time. It's showing a note pertaining to the credit limit changes, once again generated by Extender. It's showing item sales associated with this customer as well. Looking at the OE shipment entry screen, we're seeing information pertaining to this customer once again. Customer 1200, Mr. Ronald Black. We're seeing AR aging information, credit status information, and at the bottom we're seeing open back orders. So because we're on the shipment entry screen, these open back orders may well be pertinent, and they can then be drilled into through double clicking on any one of those lines, which will then take you through to the underlying order. Here we're looking at Extender now working in conjunction with Process Scheduler. And what's happening here is we are alerting, initially from a logistics perspective, we're alerting those concerned about low inventory levels. They're receiving an email which can then be drilled into via a hyperlink straight back into the relevant area within Sage 300 for action. And on the right-hand side, we're looking at collections management information, alerting those who need to know about customers as they become overdue. And for a new component of Extender, which is due for release in May 2019, we've now included the ability to create workflows around any Sage 300 view or around any third-party view that has been created within the Sage 300 SDK. So here, for example, we're looking at some workflow around a customer credit limit again. And on the left-hand side, we're showing the workflow template screen, which allows us to define the workflow through steps, through actions associated with those steps, values associated with these workflows, and also defining what the end users need to do when presented with workflows for approval, for example. And here's the workflow console, which will be presented to users for approval one way or the other. So what they can do is see what current workflows are associated with them. They can drill down into the workflows and underlying screens that are associated with these workflows. They can see a history of each workflow, see where it's got, what steps it's been through to get to where it is right now, and allows you to assign workflows, and then depending on the way the workflow is configured, you can then tell the workflow to do certain things. For example, approve the workflow, reject the workflow, reassign it, ask for more information. Data views. Are you struggling to incorporate optional fields and custom views into your reports? Did you know that there is an easy way to create and maintain database views within Sage 300 that turn your optional fields into columns, simplifying report writing and making report running faster and more efficient? Data Views simplifies the use of Sage 300 optional fields in reports by using database views. It simplifies and speeds up the process for use with your favorite report writer. For example, where the AR customer table is AR cus, The optional fields are stored in AR CUS-O. If you have 6 optional fields, to report on all of them in one report against the AR CUS table in Crystal reports, you would need 6 outer joins to the AR CUS-O table or 6 subreports to pick up the data. By creating a database view to join the AR CUS and AR CUS-O tables into one view, you can simplify the Crystal report by including only the one view into the Crystal report. And that is what the Data Views module is doing for you automatically. It's creating that database view for you. It also stores that information, so if you dump and load the data, you don't lose that database view. So here we're looking at the optional fields associated with an AR customer, and as you can see, there are a lot of them, and how they would appear from within Info Explorer, Crystal Reports, and Microsoft SQL Server. They're all appearing just as additional fields, no needs for complex joins and no need for any subreports. Optional tables. Do you store and maintain extra data outside of Sage 300? Are you compromising decision-making by holding key data externally, where it can't be readily shared or included in reports? Wouldn't you rather have custom multi-dimensional data structures within your Sage 300 database, enabling better control and visibility while also allowing you to view and manipulate data in Excel and then write it back to Sage 300? Optional tables allows you to create data structures to store information normally held outside Sage 300. It facilitates budgeting and forecasting with the included Microsoft Excel add-in and allows you, for example, to budget by item, customer, and salesperson. It includes the Data Views module, which we've just had a look at. So in this example over here, what we're doing is we've set up an optional table keyed by customer and item. They are the dimensions, and the facts that we have, or the data that we're capturing, are the cost, the margin, and the value. And we can then store this information, record and store it through a standard Sage 300 screen, through the Excel enabled write back function with our Excel add-in, or indeed through the write back version of Info Explorer. EFT processing, our most popular module. Do you need to send payments electronically to vendors and employees, collect receipts from your customers via direct debit, or send positive pay files to your bank? How confident are you that all your cash movements are secure and would stand up to an audit? And would you like to cut costs and improve efficiency through increased automation, enhanced auditability, and reduced exposure to fraud by moving away from paper checks or streamlining positive pay file processing? EFT allows you to automatically create EFT files required by banks. It saves time and eliminates errors, improves security, operates with receipts and refunds and payroll as well as payments. It includes hundreds of standard and user-definable bank formats, and we will include additional formats for you free of charge for all sites that are currently on software assurance and on a supported version of EFT processing, and allow for the encryption of bank branch code and account number. So here we have examples of how we can create a receipt batch for direct debit purposes. We have some information relating to banks and some of the formats that we can produce. On the screenshot, we're seeing a whole lot of Canadian bank formats, but we do have formats for over 60 countries around the world. In the top right-hand side, we're showing how we can update invoice due dates. Once again, for the accounts receivable side, where we want to create direct debits based on due dates, which may change. And lastly, the bottom right-hand corner, we've got EFT vendor information where we're including bank account details, which can now be encrypted if required. Here for the payroll side is an example of the visual process flow we have for EFT processing on payroll. So in summary then, the EFT module will work on accounts receivable, accounts payable, and payroll. Now that is the Sage 300 US and Canadian payrolls only. Moving on to inter-entity transactions and inter-entity trade, and what is the difference between the two? Inter-entity transactions is required in situations where you allocate expenses and/or revenue across multiple entities, balancing inter-entity loan accounts at the general ledger, or situations where you're processing cash between the entities. Inter-entity trade, on the other hand, is required in situations where you're managing multiple entities that trade goods and services with each other, and you don't want to have to manually create those mirrored entries. So for inter-entity transactions, do you allocate expenses and/or revenue across multiple funds or companies, balance intercompany loan accounts, and process cash between companies? Are you wasting hours or days each month manually reconciling those accounts and creating balancing transactions? What if you could keep those entities in balance at all times, with offsetting entries being automatically generated in each company based on a highly configurable rules with an extensive audit trail? So with the inter-entity transactions, we can automate expense, revenue, and cash allocation entries with offsetting loan account entries. It creates loan account entries both within one company database and across multiple databases with user-definable routes and extensive audit trail. It operates on any transactions at the general ledger level and therefore works across all subledgers and entries from external systems. Provides a consolidated AP and AR age trial balance across multiple company databases to keep a tight control of financial data spanning databases, and keeps all your entities in balance at all times. So here in the top right-hand corner, we're seeing that we're working with segment 4 within the GL account structure as being the entity segment. We're setting up routes as to what loan accounts to use between the entities when transactions span entities. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we're seeing what transactions are created automatically when a GL entry is posted and that entry spans different entities. The balancing entries are being created for you. And in this example over here, in the bottom left-hand corner, we're now using the web screens, and we're entering an AP invoice into entity 1, and we're spreading an expense, office supplies in this case, across entities 1, 2, and 3. When that transaction hits the general ledger, in the top left-hand corner, you can see the due to and due from entries are created, so everything is kept in balance. And inter-entity then detects that some of these transactions actually belong to different databases. So on the right-hand side, what we're seeing is those expense entries being created in entities 2 and 3, with the offsetting entry or the other side of the entry going through to the related due to accounts. Moving on to inter-entity trade. Do you manage multiple entities that trade goods or services with each other? Are you at risk of being overwhelmed by the volume of inter-entity transactions that flow from ever more complex trading environments and organizational structures? How much time would you save if reciprocal documents could be automatically generated, removing the need for duplicate entries to be manually created and checked, while also improving accuracy and auditability? Inter-entity trade automates buy and sell transactions within and across companies. It provides comprehensive audit trail highlighting intercompany transactions, simplifies transaction flow in complex organizations, and delivers bi-directional processing across order entry and purchase orders and accounts receivable and accounts payable. So with these examples, in scenario one, we've got one group entity purchasing inventory from another. So we're going from order entry to purchase orders and back again. Scenario two, we're looking at intra-group charges, where accounts receivable in the first company is creating the related accounts payable invoices and credit notes in the second company. In this third scenario, we've got the settlements, the cash movement being automated. So you can either enter a receipt or a payment, and the reciprocal transaction will be created for you in the other company. Here we've got a more complex scenario where an external customer is ordering inventory, which is actually located in a different group entity, or maybe a manufacturing company, for example, and the initial order is coming through the wholesale or retail company. So once that order comes through, inter-entity trade is automatically creating, from that sales order, is creating a purchase order, and that purchase order in the wholesale company is then creating an order in the company that has the inventory, which may be that manufacturing company. Because it's bidirectional, you could now process the shipment in that manufacturing company, SAM Limited, and the impact of that will then ripple through the other companies, so the wholesale company. So you can get complex chains of transactions being generated automatically and bidirectionally. And here we have a scenario where we're being charged by an external company, and SAM Inc. is taking on that charge and marking that charge up and then recovering that charge from SAM Limited, and the transactions once again being automated for you. A few of the screens in the top left-hand corner, we have some of the audit trail that's available. Very important where we're updating multiple transactions which are spanning databases. The bottom left-hand corner, we have trade options for order entry and purchase order integration, where we're checking off which types of documents we want to be replicated in the other entities. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we're seeing the actual setup of a trading partnership with accounts payable and accounts receivable. And because in one entity it's representing revenue, the second entity it's representing cost, we need a mapping table, and that's what we have at the bottom of that screen. We've also got the ability to create elimination entries. So should that be required for consolidated reporting purposes, that can be checked as well. Bin tracking. Do you need to track individual items against multiple bins within a Sage 300 inventory control location? How does it impact your customers when you can't locate an item to fulfill their order because you've lost track of exactly where all your inventory is? Rather than having to purchase, learn, maintain, and reconcile a separate warehouse management system just to track multiple bins, wouldn't you like to do this from within Sage 300 while also supporting the use of handheld barcode scanners? Bin tracking tracks individual inventory items in multiple bins per Sage 300 IC location. It improves the management of your warehouse without more work and complexity, pinpoints exactly where your inventory is at any point in time, provides warehouse tracking within Sage 300 so there's no need to learn how to use new software, processes warehouse activity more efficiently, resulting in faster turnaround times, improved customer satisfaction, lower inventory write-offs, and lower costs, holds all information within your Sage 300 database, so there's no need to maintain and reconcile multiple applications and databases. So here in the top left-hand corner, we have some of the transactions that are impacted by bin tracking. The top right-hand corner showing the workflow associated with doing inventory stock takes. The bottom right-hand corner showing bin setup and how much we've got in each bin. And in the bottom left-hand corner showing the pick status screen, seeing the exact status of where all our bin transfer documents are and what needs to be acted on. Return Material Authorizations, or RMA. Do you need to manage the return and/or repair of physical products? Are your customers suffering from poor service? And are you losing money through excessive stock write-offs or unrecovered repair costs due to poor item tracking and error-prone manual processes? What if you could track returns and repairs accurately while improving customer service through consistent processes supported by configurable workflows, all within Sage 300? RMA automates and simplifies the management of product returns and repairs. It facilitates cost recovery and minimizes losses by accurately tracking and billing repairs. It improves cash flows, stock turnover with a focus on quality with fewer write-offs. It avoids data redundancy, duplication, rekeying, and checking, and minimizes the cost of the returns handling process. Here we have the main RMA screen. As you can see, it looks very similar to the order entry screen in the order entry module. And from the screen, what we can do is generate any credit notes that are required, replacement orders, and any returns going back to the associated vendors as well. We can hold multiple different types of status. We can hold workflow stages, different item policies. Some items may be returnable and others may not be. Customer templates, so we can have tailored information for specific big customers. And we can also record fault information, why goods are coming back, and also report on why things are coming back. Is it a QA issue with the supplier? Do we have a training issue with our the resellers of our products? And lastly, Freight Smartlink. Are you rekeying shipping information into different systems? Are your customers able to access the current status of consignments in transit to them without needing to contact you? And are you concerned that you may not be recovering all your shipping costs? Freight Smartlink integrates with select single and multi-carrier freight management systems, integrates with additional systems with Orchid Extender, facilitates bidirectional flow of shipping data, automatically charges freight based on configurable rules, records actual freight costs to facilitate freight recovery, receives consignment note reference numbers from the carriers to communicate to customers, automatically allowing them to track shipments in transit to them. And if using a multi-carrier freight system you can do rate shopping to ensure you're getting the best rates automatically. So here we have a screenshot in the top left-hand corner of an IFS shipment review. We have the associated details, what pallets have gone out, what cartons have gone out with this shipment. We have the orders that are associated with this shipment. And what we can do in the bottom left-hand corner is set up different zones. And then with those zones, we can set up configurable handling and freight charges, which can then be on-charged to the customers through order entry. We'll now run through our channels, our distribution partners in various regions, partner resources, what's available and where to find it, getting started, downloads, trial licenses, sample data, etc., and getting help, online resources, and how to contact us. If you navigate through to www.orchid.systems and go down to the bottom of the home page, you'll get a list of international contacts. Now, these are our distributors in each region, but all products are sourced via our network of Sage 300 business partners around the world. So if you are an end user and you are interested in one or more of our modules, I suggest you make contact with your Sage solution provider. In North America, our distributor is RLA, Robert Lavery and Associates. Their details are at the bottom of the website. In Asia, a combination of Sage, the local Sage office, and A+ Software. The details are once again at the bottom of the website. And in Oceania, Africa, Middle East, it's all handled by Sage, so the local Sage office. And for other areas in the world, Europe, for example, you can contact us directly. Moving into resources that are available, an important area is the product menu, where we have listed all our different modules, and under each module we have a series of videos and other relevant information to get you up to speed. So looking at inter-entity transactions, for example, we've got some case studies, we've got a brochure, we've got an overview, and we then have a series of videos, and we have this for each and every module that we have. We have an overview video, which really positions the module, whether or not it may be of use to you, whether you should be interested in it or not. We have a demo which runs through the software, how it operates, and we then have a series of training videos running through how to set up each and every module. Some modules have a number of videos depending on the complexity of the setup, and others will just have one. In order to see further resources, I'm going to need to log in as a business partner. If you're not currently a business partner, what you can do is click on the Become a Partner in the top right-hand corner of the website and fill in the pertinent details, and we'll then get back to you with login details. If you are a business partner, if you go through to the login area and log in, you'll then be presented with a whole lot of additional resources. Starting off with product downloads, we have these product downloads listed by version. So I'll go through to version 2019. And under that, what we have is a list of all our modules, along with sample data for a number of companies, which can be loaded in order to see exactly how all our modules work. We've also included demonstration scripts. So if you run through that, it'll give you a good feel for how each one of these modules operates. We've also included the object model for each one of our modules, along with not for resale serial numbers. Now, those serial numbers will operate for 30 days, and once you become a business partner of ours, we will then send you activation codes, which will give you full working copies of all our modules for demonstration purposes, support purposes, and also for internal use, should you need that. So the modules then are listed. Some of them are grouped together. So for example, our information manager consists of a number of our modules. It includes notes, document management link, report runner, optional tables, data views, and email Smartlink. And inter-entity includes inter-entity single database, inter-entity multi-database, which includes the cash management component, and inter-entity trade. EFT includes EFT for accounts payable and accounts receivable, and our newer module, which is EFT for payroll, for Canadian and US payroll. Moving on to the other areas, we have an activation code request area. So should you need activation codes, that's the place to go. We have Info Explorer registration forms. So this would assist if you need to have a look at our Info Explorer module, including the Lite module, which is free, which will only work with a subset of cubes where the underlying queries can't be changed, but still provide very complete means or methods to access different modules and analyze the underlying data within those modules for Sage 300. And is a great way to get started to see if you do or your customers need to use some form of business intelligence. We have a number of extender scripts. These are Python scripts that work with extender to get you going with Python and with extender. And we've got these grouped by module. And as you can see, we have a lot of these. So if you are looking at getting up to speed with extender, this is a great way to get going. Have a look at these scripts. By all means, use them. They are provided for demonstration and training purposes only. So if you do want to use any components of these on a live site, you do need to test that they are doing what is required for that site and that site's requirements. We have a number of Info Explorer cubes, once again compartmentalized by the different modules, and include some of the third-party modules out there as well. So, for example, AutoSimpli, Service Manager, norming, and the like. Now, some of these cubes will work with the free Info Explorer Lite version and others won't. So just bear that in mind when you download them and start having a look at them to see whether they're pertinent or relevant for your customers. We have a series of training guides and technical resources. So here for each one of our modules, we've got our training guides. And once again, the object models as well. And under marketing material, we have a whole lot of information, our brochures and the like, and we've grouped these together into the various functional areas that each one of these modules fits into. So, for example, tailoring and integration would include information relating to extender. Other pertinent marketing information we've got here, for example, would include a sales cheat sheet, which runs through what we perceive as being key qualifying questions and the like. So great for doing telemarketing, for creating email marketing material that you may be sending out to prospects and customers. A number of case studies as well, and of course our brochures. If you do have any customers that you think would be suitable for a case study, please get in touch with us. We'd love to do a case study in conjunction with you. We have our overview brochure, which is our new 6-sided brochure over here. And this gives you some key information but behind each one of our modules. Great to leave with existing or new customers. And we also have our sales presentation. So this is very along the lines of what you've already seen during the course of this video. Gives you a bit of information, a few slides per module, which you can use and incorporate into any presentations that you would be doing. A particularly important and useful brochure we find is this one here, Which Orchid Products Are For You, which includes qualifying questions relating to each one of our modules to determine whether or not the site or existing site or prospect should be looking at the related module or not. All of these brochures can be downloaded in both letter and A4 formats. We have videos, so for each one of our modules, once again, we have different training videos, but what we also have is quick tips, and we also have more generic videos, which are addressing a particular business issue. So for example, here we have one which is headed Get Paid Faster with Orchid and runs through a number of Orchid modules that can be used to aid with that process. And here we have a whole lot of our different training videos. We also have these videos up on YouTube, so if you haven't already signed up to get messages relating to our YouTube account, please go ahead and do so. We also have a knowledge base, and this knowledge base is broken into each module. So for example, over here, if we go off and have a look at Extender, we've got training and tutorials, we've got support and script tips. We have a number of different articles. So I'd encourage you, particularly if you're just looking to implement a module for the first time, to go into this area to have a look at some of the tips we've included. When we see that we've had a number of support queries in relation to a particular area, we'll generally turn that into a knowledge base article. Now, running through the top menu, we have our solutions, which go through our different modules and what they can achieve, but at a higher level where we're addressing business issues that are being resolved. So for example, if we were to go through to budgeting and forecasting, we would then have information pertaining to modules that are useful to assist with the budgeting and forecasting process, in this case, Info Explorer and optional tables. I've already been through the products themselves, the product menu. We've got case studies, resources I've been through. Have a look at our news area from time to time, where we do post different articles. We also have a newsletter. So be sure to have a look at that too, and sign up if you haven't already done so. Our events page gives you information relating to upcoming events and where we're going to be presenting training and also doing webinars and the like. And we do have an About Us and Contact Us section as well. So in summary then, what we've covered is an overview on Orchid. We've run through each one of our modules at a high level. We've been through our channels, how to obtain our different products. We've been through the resources that we have up on our website, and we've run through how to get started and also get help should you need it. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us if we can be of assistance, and thank you for watching the video.